This podcast is called Unseasoned Reviews. We are just commoners, plebs, just poor people, basically, that
Peasants,
are going,
yeah.
peasants. Yeah, we're going to give our unsolicited and unseasoned reviews of books. That includes classics, some modern day books as well. Right now, we're actually reading a modern day book. And we have no expertise in English. We learned through the failing public school system. None of us
going to bring politics into this.
I'm trying not to give any political takes, but we don't have any background in giving any sort of advice on what you should or should not read or watch or anything else. But nonetheless, we will tell you what we think and tell you whether you should read the book or not, along with a portion that actually talks about the book in case you don't want to read it and you want us to just kind of spoil it for you. So that's what this is going to be about. This will be our probably first episode. We'll see, because we've done a couple. I've struggled with the audio issues. Even today, we are 2.5 hours in, and we just started recording. So we'll see how this goes. All right.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. If any of you are here, there's one. Our mom.
The book we read, though, is something recommended by Victoria in the camera, Warded Man by Peter Brett. Victoria, why'd you recommend this book to us?
It's probably the most original fantasy book I've read in a long time. I read it quite a while ago, but
what's that mean?
It had a very original idea behind it. I had never read of anything where
What? Hello?
Keep going, Victoria. Just ignore the commentary in the background.
Yeah, it was a very original story that I thought right when I started reading it. It starts a little slow, but once you get into it, it had such unique ideas behind it that I had never read before. So I thought maybe my brother and sister hadn't either. So things like that. We were reading some classics before, like Frank was talking about. We've done this a couple times. So I wanted something a little fresh, a little different. And this book was, I consider to be quite new, to me at least, the ideas behind it. So I thought maybe they would enjoy it. Maybe you guys will too.
Yeah, the ideas were nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, like certain things, sure. Like one of the things is kind of like it's like you said, it's fantasy book in the weapon arena is kind of like medieval.
Yeah.
You know, spears, bows, that sort of thing. Obviously, that's been done a lot, but the main element of the antagonist is something I've never heard before, and it was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
But we all grew up definitely reading Harry Potter. We read Lord of the Rings. Definitely huge readers. And we love fantasy, so this was definitely a great choice. But we'll read tons of stuff. I mean, we'll read biographies, autobiographies, science fiction. Like Victoria said, we read Frankenstein, we read Don Quixote, and we'll definitely read fantasy. But they're definitely right up our alley.
And there are two more of these books as well.
No,
so
there's five.
There are 4 more of these books. 4 or 5 more.
4 more.
4 more.
4 more of these books that I did not know about.
Yeah, I got yelled at yesterday because I had not ordered the second edition, and Frankie was like, "You mean to tell me I'm going to finish this book and not have the next one to read?" I was like, uh-oh.
Seriously.
It starts slow, but once you get into it's a lot to explain as it usually happens with sort of original, having a lot of original elements in there. You need to take some time to explain the story, to explain the environment, how things work. But once you get into it and you kind of get, the way it's going, the new developments that happen are so exciting, and it really starts chugging along where you want to keep going. I remember finishing the first book years ago, and luckily I bought the other one pretty soon after I started reading the first. But it's one of those where if you finish it and you don't have the next one, you're pretty upset because you want to stay in the story. It's just such a good story.
Yeah, I can see it being one of the ones when you do finish the series of being sad about finishing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those where you think you remember it as a movie and you think, wait, that wasn't a movie, that was a book I read.
Yeah.
It really sucks you into it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. So I would definitely highly recommend this book. I mean, so far, just book one. But what I will say is there's a lot of sexual activity.
But it doesn't go into like detail.
It doesn't go into terrible detail.
It's not like a romance novel.
It's not a romance novel. It's not Game of Thrones.
No.
But I'm just saying, be wary.
Yes, they talk about it.
They talk about it. There's a little bit of unsavoriness as well in there. So just be ready.
Unsolicited.
Especially when you're talking with your sisters about it, just be ready. There's gonna be some sex talk. But again, it's not that much detail. It's not that bad. It's just
No, it doesn't go into detail. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, it sort of goes
I think it accurately portrays the
Pornography?
dynamics that we experience as adults as well. It's just, it really goes into, it's not just talking about sex, it's talking about our views on sex, other people's views, like our opinionated mindsets when it comes to what other people are doing with their bodies. And then it actually goes into people having relationships, which that is part of it, but it does not, it doesn't focus on sex, the act itself, a lot. It's not like, and then they were doing this. It's not like that, but it definitely does relationally explain sex. People are having sex, people are judging other people for having sex. It's real life. It definitely adds that real life element, which it needs to, because the fantasy is so kind of out there. I think it would be a little too, I think it wouldn't have enough relatability if it didn't add, that realness of life. We are dealing with great character progression and things like that. So of course there's going to be sex, there's going to be drama, there's going to be tragedy, there's going to be all of that, which we all relate to. But the real, just the real grab factor about this book is the fact that it has such an original fantasy element that you're living in that restricts the movement of everyone. It restricts their minds, it restricts their actual literal physical movement, going anywhere, traveling anywhere, finding new landscapes. It's such a good book if you want to, I guess, if you want to be motivated to overcome any restriction in your life. Like, that's how I think this book inspires you.
I thought it gave like the same trope that you'll hear common in fantasy books is that there's hidden powers long ago, and now people are trying to discover them. So that's still there. That trope is there, but you'll see that the protagonists will definitely struggle. They have lots of setbacks, which is where Victoria, I think, is talking about overcoming. But some common tropes you will see, but again, still original work. But I do think I do. What I really like is also what Victoria's talking about with it being like real life, because there's so many times in the book where it's talking about something in it, and it's like you can just be like, oh, I've had that thought before, or I know somebody that has that viewpoint. Like the author Peter does a great job of just like making you feel like, oh, I can easily relate to these people because it's literally real life things in there.
Yeah.
Like when they talk about there's a girl in there that she gets pregnant and she gets ran out of town because she's not married. It's like, okay, yeah, we know, everybody knows about that, especially right now. Okay, I won't go into it.
Gonna have to keep him in mind.
Touchy, touchy.
The girl gets run out of town. Another girl, they talk to her about losing her virginity and like she needs to settle down. And then other people are saying, and she hasn't done it yet. And other people are saying like, well, why are you trying to make it up as this big thing? It's not this big thing. You know, it's just like these elements that we've heard before. So easily you just jump right in and you're with these characters. So that's ultimately like the fantasy, very cool, obviously. But I don't think it's not enough to keep you around. But I think the way that Peter makes you relate to his character, that's what keeps you around. That's what makes you say like, oh, I want to learn more about these people because. And go ahead.
You start to care about them, right?
Yeah.
Like you want them to overcome their
There are
obstacles.
multiple failures.
Yeah, the obstacles that they run into, and their their dysfunctional families too that they talk about. You're like, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
So I think that pulls us into.
Oh yeah. Shoot, I just lost my train of thought. I have ADD brain, so bear with me here.
Should we give like a brief overview of kind of what the concept is? Without giving spoilers, it's kind of hard.
I know it is hard, but I think we could give a little bit because I mean I think they jump right into it, or maybe we could read the back. Yeah, so we could read the back. Unfortunately, there is a thing right over the very top, so I can't see the first line. But it's basically there's a darkness over the land. Demons who possess supernatural powers and burn with consuming hatred of humanity. For hundreds of years, the demons have terrorized the night, slowly culling the human herd that shelters behind magical words, symbols of power whose origins are lost in myth and whose protection is terrifyingly fragile. It's not always this way. So this is that trope about lost powers. Once men and women battled the corelings, that's what the demons are called, corelings, on equal terms, but those days are gone. Night by night, the demons grow stronger while human numbers dwindle under their relentless assault. Now, with hope for the future fading, 3 young survivors of vicious demon attacks will dare the impossible, stepping beyond the crumbling safety of the woods to risk everything in a desperate quest to regain the secrets of the past. Together, they will stand against the night. So the demons come out at night. The corelings, the demons, they always come out at night, so that's why they're standing together against the night. But it actually opens with a demon attack, which again, common thing that you do in writing is start off with some action sequence that kind of sets the tone for the rest of it. And they do that, but
Yeah.
It
again,
gives you the beginning of the book really gives you a feel for these people's lives on a day-to-day basis. What fear they live with and what structures their life. So fear really structures everything that these people do. I mean, it's amazing to think right when you get into this that every single thing that these people do outside of their homes is during the day. There is no time at night when they are doing anything together. So when you think about, oh, I'm going to go out with friends and have a good night, you think about it going to like a club, a bar,
alcoholic.
at each other's houses. This does not happen.
Yeah.
They never experiencing each other during the night unless they're all in the same home, which does not happen often because all of the homes have to be warded against these creatures, against literally the night, because these creatures rule the night. And so it really puts this fear that they have to deal with. And it's a real fear because they could cause physical harm to everything, and they will try. They continually try to test these wards. So their night is incredibly different from ours because it's loud. If you're in a house and you have wards, these creatures are hitting them, which causes noise and cacophony everywhere. These people are used to this insane amount of noise while they try to sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
they're just, right when you start this book, it will throw you into a world where if you thought your world was restricted, you will relate to these people's fear. And I think that's why the book is inspiring, because it's about overcoming the fear through knowledge. You gain knowledge to
And
be able
discipline.
to fight fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is a great book. Even though it does have sexual elements, I still think it's a great book for older teens who are dealing with the struggles of trying to become an adult, because that's really what the main character is doing. He's trying to become an adult, trying to figure out what kind of adult he wants to be. And then you also have another character come in where she's trying to figure out how to become an adult. So there's no lack of representation for if you're a male or a female. Those elements, masculine and feminine, are constantly talked about.
Mm-hmm.
There are two different ways that the sort of fight is brought to this fear. And one of them is a very feminine way, which is, dealing with the trauma of what happens when these creatures get to you and they harm you, blah, 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 or how to actively take the fight to them. So yeah, I think this is a very inspiring book. It jumps you right into this situation. It's really good.
It is really good.
I mean, did you guys see that? Feel the restriction that these people
for
are under?
sure. I mean, it's the reason why different positions, like jobs, are made around this fear and this danger that they all face day to day, right? Mm-hmm. Like it talks a lot about that. The one critique I would have is
not enough sex.
That he goes into great
real
detail.
Let's not get into it.
They go into great detail about the quarreling and about the fighting.
Just
and
2 kids.
About the
how those made.
About the how to heal people and everything, right? But then all of a sudden you'll be like in the fight and everything, and then it switches to a different scene, and it's almost jarring. It's like, oh my gosh, that happened, and there wasn't enough detail around it. Like there was one specific part when they were traveling, and all of a sudden it's like you change a chapter and this huge thing happens.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of detail around it. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
But I liked it.
No, but it was just like almost woke you up again in the book. Not that you were sleeping, but it was just like, holy crap.
Yeah. He didn't stick around long enough to make you fall asleep. Like instantly you'd be changing again.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I was going to actually comment on, was that, first of all, you go, like it says, there's 3 main characters, and you switch between their stories.
Yeah.
I was, at the very beginning, I was mad that they were switching, because I was like, wait, I want to know about this person, because you don't know about the next person at all. But as soon as I learned about all of them, I was like, I don't care, dude. I want to read about all these people. Like, I'm not mad at all.
Yeah.
Because he does such a great job with each of them. But then the thing that I believe helped with that is because some books you read, especially Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a book, unpopular opinion, but it's, I don't know. I think some people hold this. It's too muddied with stuff to make it hard for especially a young person to read, because there's just so much in there that it's like, it doesn't add enough for me, like it's good for world building, but I don't need to know the 18 last names
details
of all these people that aren't even alive anymore. Like, it doesn't help me with the story, and that's what he doesn't do in this book. Is he doesn't drone on and on, especially even with details, like describing details about stuff. You get a good sense of it, but then he's moving on. He's going into dialogue. He's going into action. He's not sitting around waiting. And so, yes, he will too jar you, like my sister was saying, and all of a sudden you'll jump to a different event. But it always keeps you. It doesn't hurt the story in any way. It simply, I think, honestly, just makes it. It just makes it easier to go because you're gonna jump around from timelines, from people, and you'll still have the whole picture of what's going on in their lives. And if there's any time lapse, you understand how they grew in that time lapse. He's great to describe it. He'll even do some fun things where he'll jump past an event and then go into somebody talking about that event, and then you don't really know what happened, so you don't understand the context of what they're talking about, and then all of a sudden you get it because he provides enough. They're like, oh my god, what just happened? So there was anyway.
Well, and I think it goes back to what you were saying, Victoria, too. He gives a good example of, okay, this terrible thing happened. Yes, let's recognize it, but also you got to keep moving forward and move on.
Yeah, that part.
Like it, like it just that sucks, but you have to keep going. Like there's no choice but to just keep moving forward.
And the other thing I will say is there's definitely restrictions in the book, like Victoria was saying, and when you get to the cities, some big cities, there's some classism going on. For sure. And this classism is, let me tell you,
We're like,
I was definitely aware of this classism going on, and I just think it relates to the modern world. That's all I'm saying.
Just to clarify, Frankie is the furthest from the conservative party you could get.
Hey. Look, I'm just saying. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. It's just
it's just in there. So do we need to get into it?
It'll be hints of it in the podcast.
Look, I just care about people. That's all I'm saying.
We know we call this unseasoned reviews, but there will be some peppering of political commentary sometimes.
It will slip out.
Basically from me.
But basically, I think we need to stop saying basically so much, but
I'm going to call this
the book is great
reviews.
Actually,
that's a good name. Basically reviews.
Basic reviews.
No, basically reviews.
Basically, but there's going to be like a kind of question mark in the way you say it. Basically reviews? I don't know. But yeah, so the book, well, we kind of already discussed what kind of, we don't want to give anything away, or
yeah, we're gonna so we've been very vague about it because we want to give people the opportunity to read it, and then we will get into
spoilers.
Okay, now what's actually happening. So
okay.
I think we all agree. Look, so far we're at book 1 of 5. We're all hooked. I mean, obviously Victoria's already read at least some of these, but Danielle and I here, we are hooked. We're wanting more. Danielle asked me to order the 2 books at once from the library.
You might as well.
She doesn't understand logistics and timekeeping, and it just goes back to her crazy behaviors that we talked about earlier.
You don't understand
how she had
is
kids,
running a household,
some things
being
get into
married,
her head,
having a full-time job.
She can't get them out. I have ADD brain, but really. She just gets
I
focused
cannot
on
wait
stuff
until you guys have marriage and kids. I cannot wait until you're like zombies walking around and forgetful.
I've been a zombie for a long time. Tell you, made me a zombie too. So yeah. Anyway, I think we all recommend the book.
Yes.
We're all definitely think you should read it. So now we're going to get into actually what happens in the book. We're going to tell you specific spoilers. So if you don't want to listen anymore, feel free, turn this off, go and read it, come back later, listen to it. We'll give our opinions on what characters we like.
I think we should just do a spoiler podcast video. Like here's the lineup. So it would be,
here we go.
It was at this moment that the podcast was derailed because we couldn't decide on a format. And we argued and we fought. and it looked like there was no way forward. But then, being the loving brother that I am, I helped us come to a compromise. And we were able to decide how we wanted to proceed with spoilers. And so the show continued.
You guys want me to do this too? You guys, I'll do it. I don't care. All right, so book opens up, and there's the main character named Arlen. Arlen is a young boy. He lives in this small village. He lives with his mom and dad. He's probably around, I think, 12 years old. Book opens
I don't
basically.
think we should do it like this.
Once again, the enemy had returned. I thought I had won, but it seemed that it was a short victory. So I returned to think about the problem, and with an idea from the enemy herself, I was able to solve it, and we could move forward once again with the podcast.
Mind-blowing to you, or like, oh, enlightening to you. Just so it's not us literally talking about the book. You know, talking about like everything that happens step by step by step by step. Because that can be just too droning.
I get that.
Like, let's make it
I'll-
boom, like
Yeah.
this shit.
I'll
Snappy.
record it later, what I want to do, and then I'll just add it in. You guys won't see it.
Frank's voiceover, and it's just a quiet, like he's right next to the mic, and he's like, so the book starts out. I'm just gonna read it to you. We're like, what is this?
It's 5 hours long. And then, but
This podcast gets to a point where we're all in separate rooms doing our own thing and just splicing it in.
It's my voice, and I'm like, I bet right now Frank is talking about the book.
It'll end up
Idiot.
being like reality TV when we're in our confessionals.
I'm like up here, I'm like, I sit down, I'm like,
That's what happened today on the podcast. It's bullshit.
oh my god, right when he said that, you know what I was thinking? You're a dumb idiot. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. And nobody listens to me. You know what? Fuck this show. I hate it. Oh my- reality TV. Yells in there. She's like, "Ah, you know, I have so much on my plate already, and sometimes I think, is it even worth it? Yeah. And Frank's like, and that's why the patriarchy is bullshit. You know? It's fucking reality.
That's actually a great idea, though. We should have a little confession booth
You're like,
in here.
you guys are watching me do it. You're like, I actually want to watch this reality.
Well, it's a great idea, but Victoria does all of us.
I could set up a little confessional booth. Like, about
We
putting
get
it
in the
out there.
confessional. I'm just like,
Today was
why
so
do I
hard.
pee so much? That's what I'm thinking.
All right, so quick recap of the book. We're going to do spoilers now. There's three main characters, a boy, a girl, and another boy. They basically all come from small towns. Starts off with all of them, I think, pretty much. Like, there's demon attacks. These demons come at night. The towns always fight them. They use these things called wards. What was that book series that we read? The Book of Shadows, Book of City
Shadow
of
and
Glass,
Bones.
Shadow and Bones. Remember that, Victoria?
Yeah.
And they would tattoo runes on their skin, and they would fight demons. They were Nephilim, which are the children of angels. So the wards remind me.
That's a different series, sorry. What series is that? It's with
Yeah, it's
The
City
Sandra
of
Clare
Bones,
books?
Sandra Clare, City of Bones, City of Glass, whatever. Yeah, not Shadow and Bone. It's the Netflix thing.
I said I was wrong. Calm down.
But those are,
Confessional booth. This is where you put in the confessional booth, right? I mean, she suggests things and she's wrong. That's all I have to say.
I want to support feminism. I do. I really.
I want to support feminism, but sometimes
But I
women
hate
are
them.
idiots.
Okay, so they this entire world, they fight these demons with these wards. They draw it on things, and then it forms like sort of an energy barrier. I kind of thought like Star Wars style. If you watch episode 1 when they fight Darth Maul, and those things are blocking Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn, I kind of thought of the wards like that.
Yeah.
And so the demons would
a
like
barrier.
Yeah, it's a barrier. Demons always run into them. That's how they stop these demons, but it's not always good. Like wards can get covered up with like mud or washed off with rain, and so then sometimes demons
just
can get
worn
through.
down. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they work, but that's what these 3 characters are living in this world. The main thing is that you hear about the history of the old cities that basically used to fight these demons, because now they don't actually even kill demons. They just basically prevent themselves from being killed by them.
Correct. There's not really fighting
Yep.
except in one.
Crassia, the desert town.
I
which
called
is
it Crasia.
Crasia. I also called it. I switched a lot. Because I'm like, it's Crassia, it's Crasia. I said both. Those people actually do fight the demons. What you end up finding out is basically the sun kills demons. So if the sun hits them, it kills them. Then you. But basically, those are the only people that really kill them. So it's a coming of age story. It's these people, these 3 kids growing up, and it goes from basically like when they're all around like 12 to I think maybe 15, and then all the way up till they're 27 is this first book. Besides Rohair, who's younger, he's around 17, 18. You do end up finding out in the book that the what's his name? Alger. What's his name? What's the main guy's name? I know, I just screwed it up.
Arlen
does end up, he loves books. He ends up finding the old wards and figures out how to kill these demons with the old wards, the old fighting wards that they used to use. And so that's kind of how the book ends, is Arlen, Leisha, and Rohair, the 3 main characters, end up together, all end up in the same city. There's a big fight at the end where they actually kill the demons by using the old wards, the fighting wards and defensive wards, to actually fight back against these demons. And so that's kind of where it ends. And the next book taking off, what happens in this book and how it's going to set up the next book is when I forgot his name, Arlen finds the first old spear from the old city in an ancient ruin that he found it in. He was with his brothers in Crasia. He was then betrayed by the leading commander of the army, who wanted the recognition for finding this old spear for himself. And so 3 years has passed since that happened, and Arlen had went and became this huge warded man, is what they're calling him. Actually, Arlen is the warded man, which is the name of the book, because he draws those wards on himself, and he kills demons with his hands and stuff. Then how it's setting up the next book is now Crasia, led, I believe, it doesn't actually tell you, but I believe it's led by that commander of the army, who now has the spear from that he took from Arlen that can fight demons. They show up to that ancient ruin site where Arlen first found the spear, and that's the next one's called the Desert Spear. So that's how it's going to set up the next one. Does that make sense? Anything you guys want to add with the story before we move on to what we took away from it?
Just Leisha's story, I think, plays a lot into, so there's
Don't get too deep. Victoria will yell at you.
there's what do they call? Are they call them gatherers?
Yeah.
Herb gatherers.
Which are like their
Healers.
they're healers, right?
Yeah.
So if you
She's
think
like
of
a medicine woman. Yeah.
correct, exactly. That's what I was
What
trying to
other
think
names can we come up for it? She's a
and
mage.
they're trained to in in herbs and everything to help heal people. And I think that's a huge part of the book as well. Just how they gain knowledge. Again, it's from old books. There's a lot of it that's still hidden.
Yeah.
They protect old knowledge and do not distribute it to the public, which again plays a huge role because Arlen struggles with that for a long time of sharing the knowledge he found because I think of his betrayal. And he's like, people he had seen firsthand.
Yep.
People don't want to fight the demons. They want to stay behind the wards and continue to be scared.
And even when he was helping them fight the demons, they betrayed him.
Exactly. So I think that's a huge part of the book as well, is just overcoming that fear and also finding again the reason why you're actually fighting the demons and why you need to kind of force yourself. And anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the it's really good to explain the struggle that we all experience, which is the real uh, antagonist of all of our lives is fear of doing the things that you want to do. But we
And
will
U.S. government.
we'll paste that fear onto people because people are flawed. And so the book really talks about how we become reticent to share knowledge with others because of the way that they will use it, and an ego-based, city or person like the commander, how they will use information to control people rather than set them free. And it's interesting because what Arlen's really doing is exposing the being a what are they called? Messenger. Being a messenger is still considered, even though the messengers are the only people that can get information to and fro, because this book is really about trading information. This whole book is about that. And so even though messengers are the only way that cities can communicate with each other, that small towns, cities, any group of people can communicate with each other are messengers. But the people fear the knight so much that they look down on the messengers. They simultaneously look up to them and look down on them for the job that they do. So it's very much.
Wait, why do you think they look down on them? I only got the sense that they look.
If you're the
up at them.
if you're the wife of a messenger, we don't have messengers. We have nobody to do this job. But the wife, the family, anyone close to these messengers are continually trying to get them to stop doing that job. So who's
That
supposed
doesn't mean
to
they
do
look
it?
down on them.
Oh, they do. Absolutely. They look at them and they say, you're crazy. You're a crazy person for doing this job. You don't care about your family. You don't care about what really matters in the world. And these messengers are literally taking this information. They're doing this job. Doesn't it remind you of how people fight for say, people fight for
even going into the
freedoms.
military, right? Yeah.
And we look down on them, don't we? We sit there and we go, why are you doing that and everything? You're being a bad person. You don't care about your family. You don't care about all of this. But there's always that you're looking up to them and you're also looking down on them. They hold a very tough position in the world. And this one's even more altruistic, I guess, because they're just trading information. They're not going off to battle a war. They're not trying to fight the demons, these messengers. But anyway, the whole book is about how do you withstand the trials of interacting with other humans across all different cultures and in this one, different cities, different things like that. How do you withstand them becoming egotistical and wanting to, he had the fight with Cobb, who taught him warding. Arlen was taught warding by this man named Cobb, and Cobb didn't want to share the wards. He wanted to take the money from keeping that
sell the wards.
knowledge secret.
Yeah.
And then Arlen had to talk him into sharing it. So Arlen is really this person who he's trying to say we need to come together and share our information. Same with Leisha, the herb gatherer, Bruna. She never lets men, even though some men are interested in learning herb gathering, she never lets men learn it. This is all about sharing information, knowing when to share it, how to share it, but also when you do, try to help others by giving the information. There's such a high potential for them to then use that information in a negative way. And you're supposed to withstand that and somehow keep your vision alive of believing in people and believing that if we keep pushing through and we keep sharing and we keep trying to connect, eventually it is going to pay off. But will it? That's what this book is discussing. Will it pay off? Right now, we're causing a war. Arlen literally has just caused the start of a war, but all he did was find information and try to share it, and now people are trying to fight. So we're really discussing some pretty heavy topics in the book. It's really interesting when you start getting into it. I mean, that's why I recommend the book so much. It's just such a good story. And so, yeah, like Danielle said, like it's all about this information, how to find old information. And it kind of talks to why people are afraid to look at history, afraid to share history. Right now we could fall into another political discussion on sharing history. Right now, that's a huge discussion in schools, what history is shared, how it's shared, what's shared, everything.
And what happens when you do share it?
This book is discussing so many pertinent topics. If you read it, like you'll really get a discussion going if you talk about it.
And if you don't want to, you could just read it to enjoy it. Yeah. You don't have to go that deep. But it is a really good book. What I'm saying is it doesn't hit you over the head with it. So if you just want to read it, and because reading can be a way to take you out of reality, this will do that as well.
Absolutely.
What'd you guys think about that? What'd you guys think when you found out the herb gatherers wouldn't share with males?
Well, I mean, one of the things she says, right, is like, because she was worried that they would use it in a snap judgment and burn down the whole village, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense. I was like,
hey, what are you saying?
That makes sense.
What are you saying? Huh?
Yeah, you can understand why, but isn't that also a fear that she's allowing to keep her from sharing information?
It totally is.
And it could be just a similar situation.
Because it's literally information that saves lives.
Yeah.
If that male knew it, he could choose to just save lives with it. Yeah. He may burn down the thing, but he could save lives with it. So see how it's just continually giving you that, how do you manage your fear when it comes to sharing really good information? And it's like a quote I heard not too long ago, and it was, never tell people how you succeeded, because if they try to succeed with that information and they fail, they will call you a liar. But if they do succeed with that information, they'll claim it was just because of their own doing. Like, you're never going to be represented well. And it just reminded me of this fear. Like, so many people, we don't want to share how we do what we do. And like the herb gatherers, that's information that's something I'm wanting to do actually in my regular life, is learn about herbs, learn about how just all of nature. How does nature get things done? Mm-hmm. And it would be terrifyingly sad to me if someone said, well, you're a female, so we're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? It's just restriction.
But then you go back to Croatia, and it's like women aren't allowed to fight, so it's just men.
They're not allowed a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird, but I think that what you can do with this, and like what you're talking about with sharing information, and the fear of sharing information, what people will do with it. I think there's many things going on right now where people will talk about, you'll see a lot where people will talk about that. They'll talk about agendas and bad faith actors behind policy or ideas, or even just based on facts on how, like if they're just saying that it's a fact that something of like, and then saying here's what we should do with that information. And people are worried that there is an agenda for things happening in the background, and how I talk to people about that, and how I think that they should handle that in this book, and how I think Arlen eventually comes to see it as, is there are absolutely going to be people that take advantage of situations. You see that with the Krasia situation, right? This commander wanted the power for himself so that way he could be powerful in his nation state, basically. And of course there's going to be people like that. But like Victoria said, when you get it out to as many people as possible, it's going to do the most good if it actually is beneficial. Obviously something like how to build nuclear weapons, maybe we shouldn't give that to everybody, like just random common people. Hey, here's how to build one in your backyard, right? There's certain things like that, maybe not. But for a lot of things, it's like, yeah, if we share with most people, we're going to figure out as a society, ideally, how to make the most benefit out of it. And so, yeah, I mean, the herb gathering is a something that definitely could be shared with men, or maybe it will be in these books. Maybe we will see some herb gatherers come, because one of the cool things is that another thing in the old text, and I think is the foreshadowing, is, for one, there's different types of demons that they're not seeing right now. Right now they're seeing basic rock, wind, fire, sand, water demons, wood demons as well. But there's other demons in these depictions, basically kind of like cave paintings or Egyptian hieroglyphics and imagery that you'll see of these other types of demons. But not only that, there's also higher powered demons and higher powered kind of like mages, because they're describing somebody fighting demons in a picture, and they're emanating a light from them, and they're not touching them or battling them with spears. And so I think we might be able to see that, which is going to be awesome, right? See somebody that's just, all powerful. I'm guessing that and I guess I'm kind of switching here of what we think is to come. I'm guessing that there's going to be some. Oh, Victoria, you can't tell us because you've already read 3 books, haven't you?
I can't remember. It's been so long ago.
Yeah, but what if it's so
I don't have.
It's back in the file cabinet.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, I think there's going to be I think basically what's happening is, like, the demons aren't taking it seriously. It's just whatever. But now that they made this stand, and maybe they'll make another stand in the next book, it's going to
elevate.
Yep. And now it's going to get to like some higher type generals in the demon world, and they're going to start coming up. And you're going to see the more powerful demons come up. That's what I think is going to happen. And that's when we're going to start to see even crazier stuff going on.
Yeah, and I love how he keeps saying "seeing" when we're reading a book, but because because we all do it, right? We have imagine these worlds in our brains, and that's why movies piss us off sometimes. Because we're like, no, that's not how I pictured the book at all. You son of a...
Yeah, Aragorn, the dragon thing. Did you guys read that book ever?
No.
Oh, it's good. Great book. And then the movie?
Not so great.
Not how I picked it. I just pictured it, whatever. But
the weird thing, though, about books is that even they will describe the person to me, but I will change what they look like based on their personality of what I think looks better.
Yeah.
Like, I will change if they have like sandy blonde hair, but they have a really dark personality. I'll make their hair black, 100%. No,
Nick, that doesn't make sense.
You know what's weird though? I actually don't. I read the descriptions. I'm not good at, like, when they say, like, here's how their nose looked like. I remember them describing Jake, Arlen's friend, as like, he has a pinched nose. It's like, I don't even know what that looks like, dude.
Yeah.
So I can't, but I have a terrible time trying to imagine what characters look like from reading their descriptions. Like, I'm not good at that. Now, if you depict scenery to me, a room or landscape, something like that, I'm good. I'll do it. I'll think of it. Even the demons I can kind of do, but as soon as it gets to like face stuff, I'm like, I'm such a dummy, dude. I can't do it.
No, it's just a different way of thinking. they say
Oh,
that
here we go.
Just keep going. Ignore the commentary.
They say that in general, the way that males think is they are more interested in things, and women are more interested in people, which is why we see prevalence of females or males in certain career paths. Not saying that females or males can't choose different career paths based on the way their brain developed, because that is, I think, dependent upon
Part of our
chemicals.
society.
And who can tell you what your chemicals did when you were being born? Nobody, unless you did a bunch of tests. But anyway, and so I think when I hear pinched nose, I know exactly what they're talking about. I'll immediately picture a pinched nose. Or if someone said I think it's easier when they say it's related to, like, so someone had a rat face, or someone had they looked almost like a lion, and you can picture that wide face, really regal looking, But if I
can't.
picture faces really easily, whereas Frank is literally saying the things that they picture. He's like, they depict. He's like, yeah, I got it. I can picture those things. Whereas I don't do so much landscapes. I do more people, and like I kind of will. Like if they say, like the herb gatherer, when I picture that house, I picture like a field between the house and the town, and there's like one road or whatever, but I don't do a lot of that. I did more like Bruna being so old. I picture her like hunched over. I picture her being that rail thin, but she's always covered, so you can't tell until maybe she takes something off and you're like, holy cow, she has no fat on her body whatsoever. She's like literally skin and bones right now. So I think that's just a general difference in brains, in like what we focus on.
Yeah.
I don't think it depends on, like, if you're a female, you definitely do this. I'm just saying they say that if you have a
you
more
said it. That's how it's coming out in the
yin-centered
podcast.
brain.
That's how it's
Ignore
edited.
the commentary.
I'm gonna edit that in.
As Frank's voiceover comes in, here's my sister about to talk about dumb shit. And
No,
now
what
she's
would
done.
be
Okay.
what would be even more funny is if we watch the podcast and it's our heads, but with our mouths moving, and he's doing all the commentary because he's like, "You guys are stupid. I just cut in whatever I wanted."
It's better if it's like we start talking and we're like blah blah blah, our mouths moving, and it's just meh.
I can do all that.
Oh my god.
No, actually, what's actually better is what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut your exact voice to saying, "Here's how women are," and then you're gonna say all this stuff, even though you might clarify it, or you might add additional context that makes it make sense. But I'm not gonna let it make sense. I'm gonna make it clickbaity to where you're just some.
Here's how men and women think, and then it skips to me being like demonic, and then there's this other like, that's not what I said. Like, yes it is. That's what I heard.
Here's my interpretation.
Any additional thoughts?
Roher, was it Roher?
Roger.
Yeah.
Roger.
Roher, something.
Just like his story is, I mean,
Messed
all
up.
of their, I know all their stories are so intense.
Yeah.
But, and they all have these crazy struggles, but, yeah, how he figures out how he can be, instrumental in how they
Instrumental.
control, shut up, how they control the demons. And I just think it's so cool how they each come into their own, right? Of like, this is what I do, and it comes naturally to me, and it will make a difference in this battle.
Yep. Yeah, because basically Arlen is the fighter.
Yep.
And he uses the wards and he paints the wards. He's very good at it. Leisha's the kind of
Healer.
natural science healer, but I think it's more than that, right? Because she's the one that brews things that can both help you and hurt you, right?
True,
She's the scientist, right?
Yeah.
And then Roher is the bard. He's the one that uses music. And the cool thing about Roger is that he uses music to. He can make he plays a fiddle because he's basically a bard. Is they call him, what are they called? Jongleurs is what I'm saying.
I keep, it makes me think of like jesters of the court.
Yeah, jesters. They're like jesters. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're jesters. But he figures out how to, he plays the fiddle, becomes very good at it, but then he figures out that he can both kind of trance the demons by playing the fiddle a certain way.
Yeah.
He can make the demons back up by playing just terrible screeching notes, or he can make the demons want to attack him with terrible notes. So that's his main role, and that's how all three of them kind of have their separate roles. Very cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to start reading the second one.
I know, and if it sucks,
It won't.
just saying. Sometimes it does, man. I was reading what's it called? The Maze story. Remember that
Yeah.
huge thing? The Maze. What was it called? The Maze?
I think the
No,
Maze.
Runner's Maze.
Something like that.
Maze Runner.
Maze Runner.
Maze Runner was the name
Maze
of
Runner.
it. Yep. And the first 2 or 3 books, I was like, okay. Like the first book, obviously, yes, this is so different, so weird. But then I got to like the 3rd or 4th book, and I was like, I was done with it.
You got
I
to
was
think
over
of
it.
Harry Potter, though.
I mean, it's the biggest book series ever.
Yeah. I know. Oh, I have a series we could read after this that I think you guys would like.
Well, we have $5, so tell us in a month.
I have another book series too. This
No.
one, if you like this one.
No, you're done.
Uh-oh.
No, not next. Just saying.
I'm just saying, you got to take a seat for a second. We're reading 5 books because of you.
You're
Now-
welcome.
Yeah, look, I love it though. I love this
so
series.
good.
I think we let Danielle choose next though. Honestly, we can read whatever she wants, and then
Yeah.
figure it out.
I'm not,
really-
I'm not saying
I'm
no.
just
We're
giving
reading
you
my
crap.
podcast. My podcast. We're being told in the books.
Oh,
I
are you
say.
doing a takeover of the
Karen's.
podcast? Oh, I've heard of that before. Where have
No, I don't.
heard
I don't
that?
want to do that.
Where have
The
I heard
least
of an
amount of effort I have
insurgency?
to
Love it, Pete.
Is this a peaceful?
What's the book series called? What's the book series called that you want us to read?
I don't know. Now, there's so many. I'll have to look at it. I mean, the one I was thinking of is by Jeff Wheeler. And it's about druids, and
Yes.
it's really good. But there's this other one. I don't know. I'll look and see. There's one that's just because that's a long series. There's one that's only 3 books that's really good, and it's about witches and fairies and
Yes.
they come into their own. Did you ever read that? I think I suggested it to you.
have no idea.
But something happens, and they come into their. All of a sudden, they're living in like today's world, and then something happens, and all of a sudden, these people start getting their powers that have been like in their bloodline, and then they make it makes an appearance. Yeah, and then it's good.
I don't know. You'll have to tell me. I have a series too that was recommended to me and is highly rated as well. So we got plenty of books to read.
Oh my gosh, so many. I'm so excited.
We do, but you guys have to just watch A Discovery of Witches, at least the first episode, and
I'll have to see
you
if I
like
can
it.
find it. Okay.
Why? Where did this
Why
come from?
watch it?
I have never heard of this.
You've never
just-
heard of A Discovery of Witches?
No.
It's fairly new. They have, I think now, I usually just watch like the first season of things, but I read the books and they're amazing. But the first season is really good. I
Well,
would totally recommend-
should we read the books instead of watch the series?
No, let's not. I just read them. I don't want to.
Okay, got it.
What's it show? Where's the show at? Where do you watch it?
It's on a few places. It originally was on Sundance, but now it's on AMC Plus. I just saw.
Yeah, I don't think we have that.
It's on
Honestly?
YouTube TV, Sling TV. Oh, it's on Amazon Prime. But what do you need?
Oh.
Probably AMC. You probably need AMC.
I have too much stuff going
Oh.
on, to be honest. I don't have time for new shows right now, unfortunately. Like I
But
haven't
if
watched
you-
any.
yeah, if you
I
just
haven't
watch
watched
the
one
first-
TV show.
It's more romancy. It's like witches, vampires, and demons. And it's more, but it's got a lot of, it's a romance story. You'll love it, Yelly, if you watch it, because we love the same romancy books. Mom loves it. Mom came to me. She was like, have you seen Discovery of Witches? I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. I've read it. Like, yeah. She's like, I'm just watching it, the second season. I'm like, no, I'm not doing a second season. And then I did the second season, of course. And I think now there's like a third season. I limit myself on TV shows, but if you just watch the first episode, you'll totally get like just the vibes, the mood.
Yeah.
Because she's at Oxford and she's like learning about all these alchemical things, old information and stuff. And she's just in these gorgeous libraries. The music is amazing. They've got a lot of intensity in it as well. And it's really good. You'll like it. You'll be like, oh yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
It's probably with the AMC Plus, but you can get that free for 7 days. So if you watch like the first episode and you don't immediately binge watch it, you can just get rid of AMC.
Is there one episode out right now? That's it?
No, 2 seasons.
2 seasons? Oh, okay.
2 or 3. I think they might have brought out a 3rd season. But like I said, I limit myself. But the first season, you'll definitely be like, oh, cool. You know,
Sweet.
Just the first episode, you'll be like, oh. This is a good story. So, in conclusion, this book is highly recommended. We all love it. If you want to follow along with us, this next week we're going to be reading the second book.
The Desert Spear?
If you want to,
The Desert Spear?
Yeah, the Desert Spear. So if you want to read along with us, then go ahead and try to get through it this week, and we'll be discussing we'll split up the spoilers. So yeah, if you want to read it this week, that's what we're going to be doing next, and we'll just keep going along with it.
Till next week.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Have fun, register to vote. Make sure to look up policies. Enjoy your life.
Please
be kind to each other.
If you're on Spotify, 5-star review button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, I think Apple does podcasts. Wherever you get podcasts, please rate. We need to know how we're doing.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
You'll see 3 siblings. At some point, by the way, I am kind of the, as you probably have noted, I am the
as you
bold,
probably
say what I
noticed.
Think, because I like to be funny, but I like to be a bit, I hate saying this, I like to be edgy. God.
I was going to say controversial.
Yeah, controversial. I know, but people call it edgy, and it's like, it's right, but it's such a, I am a douche. And so at some point, these girls are going to get mad at me. One of them. Probably Victoria will get mad at me because Victoria speaks her mind. So if for nothing else, stick around because you will see it at some point. I will leave it in.
And at some point, we'll add the confessionals.
And we'll add the confessionals and you'll hear their real thoughts on it. But like you said, subscribe, rate, review. We will be back next week with the Desert
suggest
Spear.
Books. If you have any books suggestions, please add them in there because we will run out of ideas. So we really appreciate if you do us that favor. That'd be awesome. And thanks for being here if you're here anyway, because we don't expect you to be here, but we love you.
I do. You better be here. Be here next week. Damn it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.